What is up, guys and girls, and everything in between and beyond? It is Tim Bunny the One here, and because absolutely nobody asked, I will be reviewing the newest MCU Disney Plus show, She-Hulk Attorney at Law. Now, before we begin, I want to confess two things. One is that my enthusiasm for the MCU is at an all-time low. It really hasn't been what it used to be, to me at least personally, for a while now. I still really much love this universe. I love the characters. I love the concepts. I love the massiveness of the ambition of a project like this. Just an interwoven franchise with lots of properties. Something comic book nerds could only dream about just 15 years ago. And yeah, I really hope it does well and continues exploring new and greater heights. So I'm still on the lookout for that one project that's gonna wow me. And yeah, so far there hasn't really been that much. It's still enjoyable enough, but there's nothing really that pops out to me, if you get what I'm saying. And second of all, I'm not really that big of a She-Hulk fan. I thought the comics were okay, the few that I read. I've seen a few animated projects, like mainly the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes TV show. I really like the She-Hulk we got in that show. I thought she was funny, she was charismatic, she had a good dynamic with the other team members, and yeah, it got me excited for She-Hulk. I am much more of a Bruce Banner Hulk fan, World War Hulk, Scar, Planet Hulk, all of that. So yeah, I came in here with an open mind, and yeah, here's what I thought of the show. I'll start with the things that I did like, especially towards the finale. Got a lot better. Like the mid-season finale and the actual finale. The show started at a really underwhelming place and ended up getting slowly better until it culminated in a climax that was enjoyable, satisfying, I dare say funny, even though for a legal comedy it's really not that gut busting, at least not for me. I really liked that, especially at the end, that the writers were very self-aware in a very wry, tongue-in-cheek kind of way. That kind of looks like they're trying to find a way out of criticism. A lot of the criticism I think is valid. They're willing to kind of laugh at themselves while also sort of laughing at the genre they're writing in and a little bit at the fans of the genre they're writing in. And they have been honest in their early promotions about their limitations in courtroom writing, and the overall wackiness of the finale was refreshing. How Jennifer notices that this is very formulaic. We've seen this in The Incredible Hulk, the whole blood plot line that turns the villain into an evil version of themselves. And it was very, very clear that they wanted to stay away from those things because like fans are a lot smarter than people give them credit for, and I'm glad they acknowledge that. I was actually laughing to myself when I saw the setup for this episode that this is veering dangerously close to Amazing Spider-Man 2 territory, and you never want to go to Amazing Spider-Man 2 territory. I still get PTSD about Dane DeHaan's Green Goblin. Oh, it was horrible. But yeah, I'm glad they handled that in like a really zany, self-aware, self-referential meta way, which suits She-Hulk as a character. She is a character that breaks the fourth wall, and like yeah, it was interesting. I'll say that at least. The cameos were kind of cool. Yeah, even the really tacked on Megan Thee Stallion one. I'm not a fan of Megan Thee Stallion's music. I do think she is somewhat talented. I like some of her freestyles. Um, Her best song, I think, it's not all that original because my favorite song from Megan Thee Stallion is her cover, if you can call it that, or a remix of like Eazy-E's Boys in the Hood. And she reframes that song to center around like a hot girl's perspective. And yep, I enjoyed that. That's one of the only Megan Thee Stallion songs I enjoyed. But she showed up in She-Hulk, and they had like a fun little subplot in the little post-credit scene at the end, which set the internet on fire. I didn't really see what the fuss was about, but I guess you need those tweetable moments to keep the show in everyone's forward consciousnesses and in the media cycle. So yeah, I thought the cameos were cool. It's always cool to see Dr. Bruce Banner in anything. I loved him in Thor Ragnarok. I loved him in all of the Avengers movies, and every time I see him, I feel sort of sad that we haven't got a full MCU solo Hulk project because of the Universal issues and how Disney doesn't have fully owned the film rights to the character. And yeah, so whenever we do see him, it is really cool. And he's such a good character, even in comic books. He's one of the best characters in comic books. Just the dynamic between the super scientist, reserved and sort of tormented nerd Bruce Banner, and then this giant raging force of nature behemoth entity that just emerges and destroys cities and towns and planets even. It's yeah, there's a gold mine there of how to write comic books and comic book media and video games and films and TV series. He's such a good character, and yeah, whenever we see him as a Hulk fan, I'm happy. Wong was also good. Like he had the best episode, I think, with Donnie Blaze, fake magician. I thought that was a lot of fun. The team up with She-Hulk, and I could care less about the dating subplot, honestly. But yeah, the Wong Sorcerer Supreme aspect of this show, I had no complaints about. And finally, we got to see Matt Murdock in the MCU. Yeah, that's I see that as an absolute win. Hulk reference. But I will say the mustard yellow suit is it just doesn't look good. There were so many other good costumes that he can wear, and luckily it didn't take away from the performance. Charlie Cox, as always, is Daredevil, and like people were worried that he'd be too jokey. Yeah, he does wisecrack here and there, but like I don't think there's that much of a disconnect or like a jarring removal from his original portrayal in the Netflix series. So yeah, I was glad that Daredevil was here, and can't wait. I can't wait till he's in the MCU proper with the 18 episode series Born Again. That should be one to watch out for. And yeah, the cameos were good. The writers were self-aware, and yeah, it was fun here and there. I do like Tatiana Maslany. The acting was okay. Let's go to the things that I didn't quite enjoy about the show. The jokes mostly were missed for me, even by MCU standards. Like, as I didn't want to make this talking point, but as a guy, I do kind of understand that a lot of this humor wasn't meant for me, especially like the feminist through lines about being a woman in the workplace and like these little pedantic things that a woman has to go through in a professional and personal life, like just navigating the world. I feel like a lot of it was really dramatized, like especially. Okay, that's a whole nother subject, but yeah, the jokes didn't really do it for me, but it was still enjoyable. Like I liked the energy that was there on screen and just the light-hearted tone of it. That conveyed really well. Like even though the jokes to me weren't really all that funny. But my main complaint about the show is that it introduced a lot of interesting threads and concepts that I didn't really seem to be interested in following through with and exploring in any really meaningful way. Like, for example, the Sokovia Accords. Those were a pretty big deal. Like, they had a lot of build-up in several films that all culminated in Captain America Civil War, and there was a huge falling out between main characters about that, and it seemed like they were going to have lasting stakes through the MCU going forward. And those have been repealed. That was brought up in towards the end of the season, and that is really interesting. Like, how did it get to that point? Like, at what point did the world governments or the legal system or whoever decide that it's not worth having these accords? And who was involved in those discussions? Were those superheroes? Were those governments? Who was at the table? And like, that would have been interesting to explore, but we really got like a throwaway line in Matt Murdock's introduction. I thought that was a shame. What it means to be a superhero and having two identities, like the whole Spider-Man type storytelling, and even Batman with the Bruce Wayne and Batman identities. It is a superhero genre cliche, but I think it's a cliche for a reason. It really does work, and it really does help sell the genre because it creates a lot of internal conflicts that's really interesting to connect with audiences, especially younger people who are trying to carve out like their own identity, especially going through like adolescence and things like that. Those resonate well with the younger audience, in my opinion. There's an interesting monologue that Jennifer goes on in the first episode, and those themes really aren't ever brought up again, which is for me is a bit strange. Because why would you introduce them if you're not gonna explore them? So that was a missed opportunity. Gender dynamics in a competitive workspace, they touch on that. They make a lot of humor around that topic, but it's never really delved into and to make us really empathize with the plight of like women in like a high performing workplace. And there's a lot of shows that do that really well, but this isn't one of them, unfortunately. Also, just how commonplace superheroes and like just like the supernatural and the superhuman and the incredibly out there action adventure characters that are there in the MCU now. There seems to be a lot of them. I won't say from out of the blue because we saw a lot of characters in Endgame, but all of those benefited from having an origin story in a movie or a TV show or whatever. But like, yeah, now they're apparently a dime a dozen. So again, how did they get to that point? And does the public find that weird? Is it just like a normal thing now? But the show doesn't seem interested in like telling that story, which is for me it's a bit of a missed opportunity again. I would say it's a really missed opportunity. It's really is a shame that none of these threads really went anywhere. They were touched on, they were sort of introduced, and they were just left dangling by the end, which kind of sucked. But well, it's what we got. And lastly, the action was a bit underwhelming, especially for this genre. Yeah, the writers will claim and the main character will claim that this is a legal comedy. This is not this is not made for you. But let's be serious here. It is in the superhero genre. You can't really escape that label if you're going to make a show about the She-Hulk. You really can't. And I did enjoy the Hulk fight in the premiere. It was one of those more lighthearted moments, just like a family squabble turned into like a very short physical altercation. But like, yeah, it was cool to see Hulk fighting in the MCU, which is which is enjoyable. I'll say it was fun. It was a lot of fun. The rest was a bit strange. I'll give you two examples. She fights Titania at a wedding, and knowing that she's a Hulk, she takes the fist fight inside when they were already outside. Two superpowered beings who can like maybe level a building, and Jennifer Walters decides to punch Titania inside the wedding venue where all the guests are, where all of this expensive decor is. And for me, that was just really strange. Almost as strange as the opening of Thor Love and Thunder, where Thor destroys a holy temple, and for no reason, apparently, even though he's a very experienced superhero. But, like, I don't know, that's very strange for me. And again, when she's introduced to Daredevil, she does this ground and pound move, and, like, everything falls into this chasm in the earth, except for this one car that Daredevil's standing on. And I'm like, I don't know, was it really narrow? What was the point of that move then if it was like stopped by a single car? I don't know. It was just a bit weird for me. And all of the action did feel a bit undercooked. And it is in the superhero genre. Like, let's be fair to ourselves. It might be a rom-com, might be a sitcom, whatever. But then it's a show about She-Hulk. I know when I go see anything superhero related, I'm going to see action, I'm going to see adventure, a bit of humor, but what I mostly go for is this larger than life sense to the world, that everything is fantastic and like people can call lightning bolts from the sky and run really quickly and shoot laser beams from their eyes. And when I don't get that, I always feel a bit disappointed. So there's that. The CGI, oh my days. Yeah, the CGI was not it. It fell so flat. And the uncanny valley, it really threw me for loops. It actually gave me vertigo at some points. There's scenes where Jennifer walks into her office, a lot of them actually, and it feels like one of those FIFA 20 career mode cutscenes where you want to sign Kylian Mbappe to join Manchester United or something like that. It was just so strange. And it didn't really get any better for Hulk's, especially at the end when they introduced Hulk's son from out of the blue, literally from out of space. Uh, and he looks so strange. But hey, at least they admitted like that is because they really can't afford to do Hulk CGI, at least not consistently and not for extended periods of time and not consistently well. So they're acknowledging that there's been issues with production. The VFX artists apparently at Marvel haven't been treated very awesomely recently, so there's some issues to iron out there. But yeah, hopefully the CGI does get better in future projects. Can't wait to see Black Panther. I guess hopefully the CGI is a lot better in there. Um, all in all, it was all right. It was a fun piece of entertainment. Is it worth buying like a Disney Plus subscription for? No, this won't be the project to do it for you. If you weren't a fan of the MCU, you don't think She-Hulk Attorney Door is going to do it for you. But if you're looking for a small expansion of the universe, especially the Hulk corner of the MCU, then yeah, definitely check it out. But overall, yeah, you won't miss anything major by skipping She-Hulk. Still enjoyable. Like you can enjoy if you can ignore a lot of the issues that are there. But it's still enjoyable, and I would definitely give it maybe a 5.5 out of 10 stars. Maybe lower, maybe a 5, exactly 50%. But yeah, it was okay. And that should end this review. Looking forward to better stuff, like from Marvel at least. Right now I've been looking at other things in streaming, and I'm really only enjoying House of the Dragon, and that's about it. Hopefully things turn around towards the end of the year, because winter is coming, and yeah, we need shows to keep us entertained. All right, thank you. That's it.